So I did the reading वाले के दो two articles, the sample test. For the
Hmm.
listening, I couldn't find the audio.
Okay, they haven't shared the audio with you.
No, they have put it on the PDF, but you cannot open it, like on page 38.
No, the links have to be there. They haven't shared the file with the links in the. Okay, I'll do one thing. I'll share it with you on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
In fact, I didn't get time to share the reading PPT also with you. I'll share it today.
Yeah.
Okay, in the so in the reading, any problems?
No.
No, reading is going good.
Yeah.
You are okay. Have you got all the answers correct so far? Whatever you
Uh,
did.
I got it wrong over in certain where rhetorical type questions.
Hmm.
I picked the wrong
Where
answer. I
you,
mean, I tried to eliminate it, but then I just went wrong. Like,
huh,
if you remember, yesterday we did that details
hmm,
question, that
hmm,
one. So, yeah,
hmm.
that was an error. But everything was very easy. So,
And then you could figure out why you went wrong.
yeah,
Okay, good. So I think reading is good to go.
yeah.
Hmm? Okay, do you want to do a couple of listening?
No, I feel we can go with academic writing.
Academic writing first. Okay, fine. And what about speaking?
Um, Speaking, I don't remember the speaking much.
Don't remember the speaking. So I think what we'll do is we'll just brush up on the speaking today.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll share the speaking tracks also with you after that.
Hmm.
And then tomorrow we can do the writing,
Okay.
right? And any problem with the integrated writing?
Integrated writing. No, but I want to practice because I did it on my own yesterday, na.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
like last time.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go through that also. So we'll brush up on the strategies.
Yeah.
Today we will go through the speaking part, and then we will move on to the writing part tomorrow. So why I'm doing that is because speaking, there are four tasks, and you will need time to practice. So by the time we finish, now you will practice, you will time yourself, record yourself, send it to me, so I can evaluate and give my feedback, and you can improve on it, right? And then we can do the writing part, so it won't be a problem. Okay, okay, so the independent speaking, you don't have any problem? Share screen. No? Mm. Oh. So speaking format, you remember?
Yeah, I remember that.
one independent speaking task and three integrated speaking tasks.
Hmm.
And the timings also you remember?
Yeah.
Independent task 45 seconds. You get 15 seconds to prepare. Integrated task, you speak for 60 seconds. You get 20 seconds for the lecture plus passage. And no, 20 seconds for the lecture, 30 seconds for the lecture plus passage, right?
Hmm.
So these you know, so I don't need to repeat for you. And what it is scored on? The scoring of the independent task,
Yes.
the general description, delivery, uses of language, topic development. This is for both independent and integrated. Only in the integrated, the important details should also be there. I think you don't need all this. So this also you don't. Okay. So in the independent task, what, how did you fare according to yourself? Hmm?
Uh, in the independent one, I was able to manage. For the integrated one, I honestly cannot remember what the topic was in.
Doesn't matter. You don't have to remember what the topic was.
I just
Just that how, like, were you good at it or did you face a problem?
I was a bit slow in the beginning, but then I had to catch up later on.
Okay. Okay. Just tell me whether the screen is being shared properly or not. I'm on a page which says suggestions for test.
Yes, yes.
You can see. Yeah. So now when you speak, number one, do you use a template?
No,
Hmm?
no, I don't.
You don't remember. Okay. Don't. So how you need to speak, not too fast, not too slow, these already you know, since you've already done them. I will go on to the template, plan, organizing template. So the types of questions, I hope you recall.
Yeah.
Agree, disagree, personal preference, if imaginary. There could be descriptive, advantages and disadvantages, or disadvantages of one of the things. Yeah.
Hmm.
So now when you are doing an independent speaking task, uh, are you able to speak for the entire 45 seconds?
Yes.
Okay. So do you speak more or do you speak less?
I try to cover up as much as I can, but
Hmm.
sometimes the time is less.
The time is less. Okay. So you have to organize your answer a little. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where we talk about the templates.
Hmm.
And another thing which is important is using transition words, phrases, and sentence openers. Yeah. So when you are talking about transition words, what do you mean?
Therefore, thus,
Hmm.
and so
And to show them that you have your 2 points clearly
connected.
mentioned, what do you use? Firstly, secondly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or firstly, and then furthermore. Yeah. To show
Hmm.
that, okay, this is my first point, this is my second point.
Hmm.
I'll go directly to a template. Yeah. So suppose we take up this question. I first want to see how you would be responding. This is the agree disagree question. It says, do you agree or disagree that students should bring their cell phones to school? Yeah. Use details and examples to support your explanation. So you can use your pen paper. Take
Yeah.
uh, how many seconds? 15 seconds to prepare, right? Yeah. So 15 seconds to prepare, and then will time you for your response. Okay. So
Yeah.
you're ready to respond?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. So I feel that schools should agree students to let them bring their cell phones to school. The reasons for it are very simple. First, I on like they need phones for emergency contacts, and sometimes there are certain situations where you want to call up your family and everyone. So you need to be able to access a phone immediately. Secondly, I understand that there might be certain misuse of the phone at certain times. For that, a very simple solution could be just let them come with a SIM card in their phones rather than having a memory card and all of that, so that they're not able to use other apps as much. Thirdly, even schools can benefit from the students bringing their cell phones to school
Okay,
because
you can stop now.
yeah,
See, you have 45 seconds.
yeah,
That is just about enough for 2 points.
okay,
Yeah. So you don't need a third point as such,
yeah,
right? 2 points. Now, when you are talking about 2 points, uh, reason, example. Example should be clear. Now, did you have a clear example?
no,
Yeah. Example could have been a little more elaborate.
yeah,
Yeah, to explain the point. Why? Because you said they should be allowed because they could be emergencies, and they could be there could be a requirement to call their families. Yeah,
yeah,
that can be elaborated a little more for clarity.
hmm,
Okay, so whenever you have a point, remember that you begin with a point and then make sure that your example explains the point.
yeah,
Okay. Now, your second point was the other side of it. That is, there could be a possibility of misuse. Now, you can give us when would there be a misuse, right? So, when there would be a misuse and it can be prevented. So, giving them a phone with only SIM card, that could be that, okay, this can prevent them from misuse. So one thing is little lacking, you can work on that. So when you finished your second point, you were already above 45 seconds,
yeah,
right? Now you have to be able to organize your answer in such a way that both the points are stated clearly within the 45 seconds. And a third point is absolutely not required. And moreover, conclusion is also not required, right? So suppose we take up another one. You can see this question.
yes.
Hmm?
Some people think that the development of technology and internet libraries will disappear while other things like
So it's a long sentence. If you are confused, what do you do? Break it up, simplify, paraphrase. So your first sentence should always be a paraphrase of the question with your opinion, right? So like in the first one, students should bring their cell phones to school. How would you paraphrase it?
Yes, I agree with the fact that students should be allowed to bring their cell phones to school.
Yeah. So something should be changed. You don't use the exact words from the question.
Mm.
That is one thing. Okay, now if you look at this one, the second one, some people think that the development of technology and internet, libraries will disappear, while others think that libraries are always necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can paraphrase it, pick out things that you want to state. Hmm?
Hmm.
So the main thing is about libraries will disappear or not.
Hmm.
So with technology and development, would they disappear or not? So whether you agree or disagree, and paraphrasing the question will come first. So how would you paraphrase this question?
Um, According to me, libraries will always be the need of the hour, and yeah, I think
So
that's
what are you comparing to?
mm,
So you have to be able to give the entire statement. Libraries will be the need of the hour, even though technology and internet may be widespread.
yeah.
Okay? So that way you can cover the entire thing. So now when you are saying that the libraries would always be there, it says always necessary.
Hmm.
Yeah. So that is what you have to um, talk about. Why is it necessary? Right?
Yeah.
So the key words in the question should be answered when you are talking.
Hmm.
So what are the points you can come up with? Now, when you are coming up with your points, do you write down 2 points and 2 examples?
Yeah, just like a word so that I
Yeah,
don't get.
just a word. So you just have the idea there and then you develop while you're speaking.
Okay.
You don't have enough time to write the entire answer, of course. In 15 seconds, you can just about touch on your idea and write down a word on it. Right? Now, when you are giving your examples to support your point, what type of examples would you use?
Uh, Practical life example, like something I might have experienced.
Yeah, from your experience. So personal examples will help you explain the point better, right? Always go with personal examples. So something you have experienced you will be, so when you have a point, so always you'll have point one, personal example or example, whatever, and then point two, again, example, right? This is your format,
Okay.
right? Now, do you find it difficult to begin an answer?
Yes,
No.
I stutter.
Yeah. So there's where your template will come in. So you can always, like any agree or disagree question, fix a template, practice using the same template each time, or a little variation of the template depending upon what the question is. So you can say, I agree that, or I agree with the idea that, right? Now, like in the question that we just saw, the question itself is that some people believe this, some people believe that. Yeah. So to tell them that, okay, I know what the question is, you can begin with, some people believe that this, but I disagree.
Yeah.
Now, if both sides are given, you can just state your opinion and connect what the question is asking.
Hmm.
So you can just, the simplest thing would be, I agree or disagree with the idea that.
Mm.
Yeah, and then you paraphrase the question,
Mm.
right? Now, after the introduction, what is required? Now you can say that okay, you agree or disagree, and uh, you can mention for two reasons, because you know you are going to give two reasons,
Yes.
right? And when you are talking about the reasons, what do you do?
Mm.
To begin with, or
Begin.
firstly, or for one, yeah, and then example, for
Or
instance, or because. So you have your reason and then your explanation. Yeah. Explain with the help of example. Right. So to begin with, because, or to begin with, you state your point, and then, for instance, to show your to give your reason. Then when you come to the second one, this is reason one. Yeah. When you come to the reason two, your format remains the same. Reason, explain, example. Now, how to begin the second reason?
in addition.
Or if you don't remember, in addition, just secondly. Hmm? Then again, you explain and give example. Now, don't use the same uh, words. Like if you use for instance in the first one, then you can use because in the second one. So don't go into too many options. It gets confusing. Stick to one template. So when you stick to one template, you know that, okay, I don't have the problem of how to begin a sentence, how to move on to the second point, what transition to use, right? So suppose we use this template, um, and okay, conclusion is not really required because you will be obviously running out of time. But if you think that you did not uh, have a good introduction, or maybe you have, say, about 3 seconds left, 3 to 4 seconds left, then you can add a conclusion. Otherwise, conclusion is absolutely not required, right? Introduction is more important. Your transitions are important. Anyone who is listening to your recording, it should be clear to them, okay, this was the first point, this was the second point. Yeah, it's not like the entire paragraph. So you had used the firstly, secondly, the second point had come up. Say, suppose we talk about the question we just did. I agree that students should bring their cell phones to school. Or I agree to the idea that students should be allowed cell phones to school. Yeah. So this one began with I agree that. This one began with I agree to the idea that.
Yeah.
Or some people believe that students should bring their cell phones to school, but I disagree. So the three options are there. You can choose any one of them. Right? So that becomes easy to begin your answer.
Mm.
So any of the agree disagree questions, you can just say I agree that, or I agree to the idea that. Hmm? So any one of them you fix. And so what happens when you're using a template? At least one thing you are sure of. So the confidence level goes up. Now, what do you have to concentrate on? Only your points and your content, what you are going to say, right?
Yeah.
Say we talk about a sample response. Do you agree or disagree that higher education means better career, right? So what is it asking about? Higher education, better career. So again, this is agree or disagree. How would you begin? I agree that. Now, this is not an idea exactly, or it could be an idea, but you can just Now, whether it is an idea or it is a debate, whatever it is, I agree that or I disagree that
Yes.
would do. Yeah, nothing else needs to be added. So I do agree that a higher education enables one to a better career. So what did this part do? Paraphrase the question. Hmm? Do you agree or disagree that higher education means a better career? I agree that a higher education enables one to a better career. So education and better career are two phrases that are required. And only the middle part you are changing. Okay. Now, if you look at this one, to begin with, instead of firstly or secondly, you can just say to begin with. Then you go on to your point. In this case, the point that they have put in is with the advancement of technology and advancement of the world itself, companies are becoming more complex. Yeah. So that is reason number one or point number one. Then if they want their company to succeed, they will need to have intelligent, knowledgeable, and competent individuals working for them. So this is explaining the point. So you have the reason and the why to the reason. So the why to the reason should always be there,
Hmm.
right? Then moving on to the second point, in addition, your template says in addition, to begin with, and then in addition. Having a higher education will give you an advantage over the other candidates applying for the same job, right? So this was one with advancement of technology. This is about advantage over the other candidates. So this is reason number two. What should reason number two be followed by? The why to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now in this one, the why is not there, missing. Higher education will give you an advantage over the other candidates applying for the same job. So this is just the reason, but example is not there. So maybe this one will lose a point for not expanding on the second one. Correct? So the first point is complete. Second point is not complete.
So they gave a conclusion.
Yeah. Instead of that, the student has now this is an actual response from a student. Therefore, these are reasons why I agree that a higher education means a better career. Now, instead of the conclusion, there could have been an expansion on the point. Yeah, which would have been better. Okay, let's see. Another one. Here it says state whether you agree or disagree with the following statement. Then explain your reasons using specific details in your argument. Teachers should assign daily homework to students. So what is the statement that you are going to respond to?
Teachers should assign daily homework to students.
Yeah. Okay. So and it says state whether you agree or disagree. And obviously you need your explanation and reasons. So what is the template that you would use?
Um, I do agree that teachers should assign daily homework to students. This will be the introduction.
Yeah.
Then I don't know why I cannot come up with 2 points.
Hmm? Okay.
Uh,
Now you have done homework in school, you get assignments in college.
yeah.
Okay, now one you said teachers should give daily homework to students. Yeah. So yeah, it is more or less paraphrase. It's okay. So now why do you think homework is important?
Uh, To begin with, homeworks ensure that the students are having a consistency with what is being taught in their schools. They do not. This can be related to no. This can be I don't know. Mm,
Okay, you said a your point was consistency. Yeah.
Yeah,
Now, this is your reason one. Next, what do you need? Example or explanation.
yeah.
Yeah. If you can't think of an example, explain it further.
Okay. So,
You can come up with a personal example. Uh, for example, homework helped me in this way.
So, for example, when I get assignments in my college, I'm able to focus better on the studies and even able to identify where I lack in general over a topic, and hence I can ask my professor where I can do better and improve in my studies. Secondly, when assigned homeworks, they help students reduce their workload during exam season. This can be defended by if one does their homework regularly, they are up to mark with their own syllabus, and hence they are able to ace their exams in a much better way. This I'm saying through personal experience. So to conclude, I would definitely agree with the fact that teachers should assign daily homework to students.
Okay. So the amount you spoke, do you think you can complete in 45 seconds?
No.
No. Yeah. Okay. Now the first point when you expanded, that actually went on to a content which could have been used in a second point. When you talk about improvement, you said students can improve. Yeah. So
Yeah.
either you now you have to be concise with your points.
Mm.
Yeah. If you think that you are talking too much, then just say, okay, secondly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So break it up into two parts. Reason one, example. Reason two, example. So if you, instead of now yeah, so there's a risk when you start explaining, if you expand with an explanation, you usually tend to go on to a point which can be used for a second point,
Yeah.
right? So reason and example would be just about enough for your point,
Mm.
right? Instead of going on to explain the reason, just reason explain with the help of an example, right?
Yeah.
So you have to be able to, now remember, just 2 points. Don't go into a third point at all, and don't go into a conclusion. Okay?
Yeah.
Let's see. Say this one, we can do an example on this. I agree with the idea of giving children homework on a daily basis. I feel this way for two reasons. First of all, I think that, yeah, then it will
Yeah.
help children to retain what they learn for much longer period of time. So this was the point that you were coming up with, the second one. Only real way for kids to absorb a lesson is to actually go home, repeat it as much as they possibly can. And in the long run, this kind of thing will lead to more more academic success. So the outcome is also there. So maybe this could go into a second point also.
Okay.
Secondly, I believe that homework can actually give the children an opportunity to bond with their parents. So this is a completely different point, and it is quite a good point. For example, I got a lot of daily. So here, if you see, this is a personal example, right?
Yeah.
I I got a lot of daily homework when I was in elementary school, and I'd go home and do it with my mom and dad. So this is explaining the point with the help of an example.
Yeah.
And I'd ask them questions whenever I was having trouble. And in time we actually became really close, right?
Yes.
If you give a personal example, it becomes easier. Like you give the example of that when we get assignments, and when I do the assignments, what happens?
Hmm.
Yeah. So just 2 points, short, concise. So if you see, how many sentences can you go in for each point?
One would be statement, two would
A
be for
statement.
explaining.
Second is the explanation or
Yeah.
example. So two mm, sentences or maximum three,
Okay.
right? If you think you spoke too little, then you can go on to a little expansion of it. So this one was, say, maybe this student thought that he or she spoke too little. It went on to expansion of the point. So you have to time yourself. When you're timing yourself, you know exactly how much you can speak. If you do about 5 or 6 of them, you will know where you stand. The personal preference questions, these are also, after agree, disagree, these are the most common ones. And in the personal preference questions, you can have 3 choices. It could be 2 options given, or 3 options given, or maybe sometimes even 4 options given.
Hmm.
Yeah. Say if you look at this one, if you are to choose between 2 apartments to live in the next semester, one apartment is near the campus but slightly expensive, other is a little far from the campus but cheaper. Which one will you prefer and why? So this, for the template for this will be you have to begin your answer in a little different way than the agree disagree one.
Yeah.
Hmm? So here,
Yeah.
how would you begin?
In
So
my opinion, I would love to have a, like, in my opinion, I would choose to stay in an apartment a little far from the campus, as it will be cheaper as compared to the apartment, which is slightly expensive and closer to the campus.
okay, now just a moment. Now, in the preference question, you will not say, in my opinion.
Yeah.
In agree, disagree questions or advantage, disadvantage questions, you can say, in my opinion, but not in the personal preference questions. They're talking about preference between 2 things. So you just state, I would prefer to, and compare to the other. So in this case, you can begin with, I would prefer to staying in an apartment which is close to the campus rather than one which is further away and cheaper, right? So whatever you are choosing comes first and then rather than. Or I would choose this if given a choice between these two. So
Hmm.
let's have a look at a template. So I prefer this x to y or x over y, right?
Yeah.
And then you say for two main reasons. Or to me, dash is x is far preferable to y. So depending upon what the question is, you can use this also. Or simply, I prefer x over y. So I prefer staying in an apartment which is close to the campus but is expensive over the one which is far away but is cheaper. Simple.
Yeah.
Hmm? So in your whenever they say preference or choice, you will not talk about your opinion. Straight, simple, I prefer this to that, or I prefer this over that. Right? So preference questions beginning will be a little different. And then you will go on to your first reason, reason one, explanation, or if you can give an example. So rest remains the same. First of all, or the first reason is, and the second reason is, yeah, because you are choosing something and you are asked to give reason. Or you can also say furthermore,
Okay.
right? So you can begin with, I prefer X over Y for two reasons. The first reason is this, and you state your reason, and then you go on to because, as you give the, so you're now when you are stating your reason, you're already talking about why. Yeah. So you will just expand on it with an example. Done. Similarly, you will talk about the second reason. The second reason is, or furthermore, whichever comes to your mind at that time. Or maybe if you have practiced with first reason is this, second reason is this, it's absolutely fine.
Mm.
Okay. So you have to write down a template for yourself, which you will use for any preference question. Doesn't matter what the question is, this is how you begin each sentence. Right? Okay, now if we move on to the conclusion can be given but not required. Say, I prefer to find information by reading books. To me, eating at, or say if you're using to me, eating at restaurants is far preferable to, so why would be eating at home? Yeah. I prefer having a higher paid job with longer hours to having a lower paying job with shorter hours. So it's up to you, whatever you are most comfortable with, you will choose a template. Say if we are talking about, if we have this one, do you prefer to eat at food stands or restaurants? Use details and examples to support your example, to support your explanation. Yeah. So what is the preference between? You have to break down the given question and see what are you comparing. What is your X? What is your Y? Your X is food stands and Y is restaurants. Eh? So how can you begin?
Uh, to me, I prefer eating at restaurants rather than eating at food stands.
Right. Or you can just say, instead of using to me, you can just say I prefer or I would prefer. Right?
Right.
Anyway, anything will do. So I prefer eating at restaurants over eating at food stands for two main reasons. Again, so this, if you state for two main reasons, means you are clear about your thought process, and that is important. To tell them, I know what I am talking about, right? So in this example, do you want to read the example, or we will move on?
I'll just read it once.
Okay, we'll just read it. So the first reason is I grew up dining in restaurants, so I am accustomed to eating in them. Actually, I cannot remember the last time I ate at a food stand. Plus, eating in a nice building is much more comfortable compared to eating outside. Now, what happens is when you are going extempo, it's
Mm.
difficult to get your points.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's okay. Whatever comes to your mind, at least you should be organized. There's no right or wrong answer. So you don't have to think that, okay, if I say this, what will the examiner think? That's not required. You say what you want to say, you can defend as long as you are organized and you can defend your point.
Mm.
And it should be strong. Yeah. Strong, clear answers. Second reason is there's better food selection. I can have more choices and my food is cooked better because they have a proper cooking system. Yeah. So if you see,
Mm.
your points should be properly organized and expand, right? Now, if you can come up with examples, fine. If you can't come up with examples, put in reason. If you think you can't get a reason, at least think about some example. Yeah, I think I'll share this with you. You can go through the examples. Now, in the preference, if you have a three choice question, how will you deal with it? Now, when it's a simple preference question, you give two reasons why you prefer. Yeah. Now, suppose you in the two choice question again, suppose you can figure out one reason why you want to support your choice, and you can't figure out the other reason. Then
Hmm.
what can you do? Then you can talk about why you don't like the other part.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can talk against the other side instead of just supporting your choice.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Now, if you have a three choice question, say this one, your degree requires that you should choose a history course which is of which of the following courses would you prefer? So this is again a preference question. You have a preference between three choices: art history, 20th century world history, science history. Yeah.
Uh,
Again, you can be, your template would be I would prefer, say if you're choosing art history, for example, I would prefer art history over 20th century world history and science history for two reasons. Same thing. Hmm?
But
And
here,
suppose you're not sure about your reasons, now here again you have to choose one.
so in this question, I'm not very aware of all three of them, like about
Doesn't
them.
matter. Now you are not aware of all three. Now suppose one of them is your something you know at least something about, right? Suppose you have studied science in school,
Yeah.
yeah. So maybe a few names you remember:
Hmm.
Newton, Edison. These you would remember,
Hmm.
right? So you can say that I would prefer science history over art history and 20th century world history. Hmm? At least give one reason why you would be interested. So, science history would give you information about various discoveries. Yeah, for example, you can give an example like through science history, I came to know about the discovery of, say, dynamite,
Hmm.
when it was discovered and how it was discovered,
Hmm.
right? Now, suppose you don't come up with another reason. Reason number one, you gave your example. Now you don't know what is the second reason that you can give. Go on to say why you don't like art history or 20th century world history,
Hmm.
right? So if I were to choose a history course, like my interest, you said already said my interest is in art, in science history. So now further, I have little idea about art, or I'm not interested in art, or in 20th century world history, or what happened during the 20th century in the world history, because it is too complicated, maybe. Hmm? And so going into things which I'm not interested in would not be a good idea in a course in college. So
Yeah.
I would go with science history.
Hmm.
Okay? Hmm?
Yes.
So one reason, if you have two reasons, you give two reasons. If you don't have two reasons, just say why you don't like or why you would not choose the others. Yeah. So this is a strategy that you can use if whether you have two choices or you have three choices. So whether you have two choices or three choices, strategy remains the same. Only the number of words will increase. Got it? Say this one. Now, okay, here the same question can come in a different format. Yeah, they can elaborate each one of them. This has also come once. Which of the courses would you prefer? A course about art history, the study of objects of art in their historical development and stylistic contexts. Course about 20th century world history, study of critical understanding of the major political developments. Course about science history, the study of development of science and scientific knowledge. Now, this makes it a little more easier for you to expand. Yeah. Suppose
Yeah.
you don't like art history and you don't like 20th century world history. So you can say that I'm not really interested in the study of objects of art, hmm, or the historical development of art. So this give from here you can take your hints of which phrase to include in your answer. Yeah. Now, a course about 20th century world history, maybe you can say that I am not really interested in political developments that happened in the 20th century. Hmm? So now the course is about critical understanding of the political developments. So you can just pick up one of these phrases and go into it, right? And here it says development of science and scientific knowledge. So you can, this is easy to come up with examples. So anything which is easy to come up with, you use those points. Doesn't matter whether it is right or wrong, whether it suits your course or not, doesn't make any difference. All they want to see is whether you can organize, whether you can speak properly, you can speak good English. When you speak, your sentences are grammatically correct,
Mm.
and you can organize and develop your ideas. Right? Okay. So you could try this one for homework. You need to accomplish an assignment for a presentation. Which one will you choose? Act out a scene from a play with a partner, explain your review of a novel you recently read a selection of poem. Now here again you have three choices. Your template remains the same. Yeah. And you can go on with which one you choose, reason with example. And if
Yeah.
you're not sure about a second reason, you can say why you will not choose the other two.
Okay.
Right? We'll just move on. So this one also is three choices. Which of the following qualities will you value most when selecting a roommate abroad? Now, this is important when you have a question, read it carefully. What is the question asking you? You frame your answer according to that. Yeah, so it's talking about the values, qualities that you value. So it's a qualities in a roommate abroad. And they've given three qualities. You choose the ones that you want them to have. Yeah. So here you can choose two qualities, right? So maybe you are a quiet person and you would want your roommate to be quiet, not talk too much. Maybe you are very finicky about cleanliness. Yeah. So why? So that will be easy to have firstly quietness and secondly cleanliness. So 2 points you would be explaining. So this will also go in with personal examples,
Uh,
right?
what if in a question like the previous one,
Hmm.
quietness, cleanness, I agree with all three of them, and I give
Yeah,
a
fine. So which of the following? So what is most important to you? You can begin with
cleanliness.
that. Yeah. So if there
Yeah.
are three of in this type of a question, if you think all of the three should be there, then you can say that okay, I would value quietness and cleanliness, and of course, furthermore, friendliness is important to have
Okay, so it's not
interaction.
necessary that we choose like just one and we have to give negative points for the other two.
Not necessary.
Okay.
Not necessary. If you think all of them are important, you can say that all these qualities are important. And you give your reason why these are important, right? It's not always that you choose one and you give reasons against the other. It depends upon what the question is. Now, say if you this one, now here, accomplish an assignment, which one will you choose? Yeah, here it says
Or also
which
I can give a priority.
here the question itself says which of the following qualities will you value? So that means they don't expect you to choose only one of them. You can choose more than one,
Okay.
right? So you can go according to your preference. So like you can begin with, if I had to choose between dash and dash or choose between the three, yeah, then I would choose which one. Or you can say I would prefer X over Y and Z, right? And then you go on with your reason. Two
So
reasons.
it is similar to personal preference.
Yeah, it's the same as a personal preference. Only here you have, instead of just two options, you'll have three options.
Yeah.
You have to mention the three options in your answer somewhere or the other, right? And you give your reason first of all, and your second reason furthermore. So if you use first of all, you can use furthermore. If you use the first reason is, you can use the second reason is, or you can use furthermore. Okay. So that was the first thing where we said that you choose one and you explain. And this alternate is you give reason for give one reason for the one you have chosen. That is reason one is chosen, and reason two would be against the other, right? So you can go through the sample response. We won't spend time on reading it now. And here are some questions with samples. So I would choose health and nutrition for two main reasons. And then it goes on to, firstly, I deal with nutrition, etc., and give reasons are given. And I am not very interested in the other, that is sciences. Yeah, solar
Yeah.
system relates to sciences. So I think an energy and environment or solar system class would be very intriguing to me. Yeah, I would prefer, I would rather take classes that excite me rather than a class that I was totally disinterested. So these are the terms that you can use. Disinterested, uh, I would, so this is your template again. I would rather take classes that excite me. So you can make a list of the words that you would be using. Yeah. So something that excites me, I would rather take up than something that does not interest me. Yeah. Um, yeah. Got it? Easy now. And this one has a little conclusion. If you have time, you go on with the conclusion, otherwise not required. Okay, now this is an if imaginary type of question, not very common, but can come,
Yeah.
right? So now in the if imaginary type of question, we have to be very careful about the format or the words that you are using. Now this is a hypothetical situation, right? So like if you had a small amount of money, would you spend it right away or save it? And this second statement will be the same in all questions. So now when you have an if imaginary question, the other questions also, what is important is you will not use the definitive like will. Yeah. Instead of will, what would you use? You would use would. You
Hmm.
will use could. Sorry. Yeah. And if I say were, if I had a lot of money, you can say. Suppose they say if you are chosen as the president of the country. So if I were not, you will not use was, right?
Yes.
Were, would, could, these are the words that will come in. So if we look at the template, conditional sentence will be there. So if your subject, that is I or whatever, simple past tense, subject and would, could, might, and the verb. Yeah, this is your introduction. If I were, I would, or might. So the conditional sentence will come in, not a definitive sentence. Yeah. Now the hypothetical situation questions are rare, but never know. TOEFL can come up with it. Say if I had a small amount of money, I would choose. If I had a small amount of money, I would choose to save it for a number of reasons. Right? Then you go on to the first reason, second reason, and end your. So if I had a small amount of money, I would save it. First reason is I grew up in a family, etc., etc. Then the second reason is, and then you give your, you can go on to the other side also. And if you think that okay, you still have time, you can go on with a third reason also.
So all these come under independent writing types.
Independent writing, different types
Oh,
of independent.
okay, okay.
Why we are doing this is that all independent writing tasks are not the same.
Yeah,
There can be
most.
different types of questions. So you would be dealing with them different.
Hmm.
So agree, disagree, you would say in my opinion, or I agree or disagree with. In the preference, you would say I would prefer this to that. If imaginary questions, if I had this or if I were to do this, I would, could, or might. Yeah. So the very first sentence that you would be choosing to use is very important. That's where practicing with a template helps.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, if you have a description or explanation type of question, say this one. Do you think bicycles will still be widely used in future or replaced by other means of transportation? It says, do you think? It's an open-ended question, right? So these are the description or explanation type of questions. Now here, would you say, would you begin with opinion?
Yes.
You can. Yeah. So in this case, if you look at the template, you can say, in my opinion, because it is giving you a statement and they said, do you think?
Hmm.
So your opinion comes in, but here you will not use agree or disagree.
Hmm.
You will just say, in my opinion, or I believe that, or in my view, any of these can come.
Okay.
Yeah. Or as far as I am concerned. So to keep it short, in my opinion is the best thing to do. Yeah. Or in my view, any of these you can use. And then again, rest of it remains the same. First of all, you give your reason, explain. Then you can say furthermore, give your reason, explain. If you want, you can use a conclusion, but conclusion will be just repetition of the introduction, so not required. Yeah. So in my opinion, not all university students should be required to read the same book before entering their first year of study. Yeah. Or in my view, bicycles will become obsolete. due to emergence of other means of transportation, or as far as I am concerned, it becomes a little complicated. So in my view, in my opinion, will do. You can use these. Yeah. So you can go through the samples. Hmm?
Yes.
The matter is not so important. Matter is just to see how it is written and how you can, how the responses. Say this one: schools should have teams for sports that might carry a risk of serious physical injury. Explain your answer. Yeah. So it is, should schools have teams? So obviously you will come up with your opinion. In my opinion, schools should have allow sports, like this one said, should still allow sports that carry that risk, despite the risk of serious physical injury. There's a repetition, but yeah. So we could avoid repetition of words. It's difficult to think of different words, but still you get better scores if you can use better vocabulary. Yeah. Then first of all, furthermore, and if you have time, conclude.
Okay.
Now we come to the advantage disadvantage question. Yeah. You also, they will be asking you to explain, either they explain, now depending upon the question. Say this one: should universities allow students to watch TV in their dormitories? What is your opinion and why? Yeah, so they're clearly asking for your opinion. And they're also saying what are the advantages and disadvantages of watching TV in dormitories. Include reasons and support your response. Yeah. So if you see, you need to give your opinion and also explain both sides, the advantages and disadvantages. Yeah. It's not that if you are if you think, now the statement is, should universities allow students to watch TV in the dormitories? So first will be, in my opinion, paraphrase the statement, and then you can say there are both advantages and disadvantages to this. So if you think that it is in your opinion this should be allowed, so you begin with the advantages. Yeah. And if you think the disadvantages are more, you begin with the disadvantages and then go into the other side. Got it? So you have to stress the side you are defending. Yeah. And here, so your first paragraph, if you go into template for this, so there are certainly advantages and disadvantages to this, or upsides and downsides. So different words to use instead of just advantages and disadvantages, or their benefits and drawbacks. Okay, now upsides and downsides, you would use the preposition to. Advantages and disadvantages, to. If you say benefits and drawbacks, your preposition becomes off. Right? So you can say there are pros and cons, and then again of something. So don't say there are pros and cons to something. Right? So you can say there are certainly both pros and cons of, say, having TV in the dorms, and then go on to, in my opinion, because they have clearly asked you for your opinion. Then
Okay.
you, the same thing. First of all, one advantage is this, you elaborate on it. And then when you're coming to the disadvantage or the other side, say you are supporting the advantage. In your opinion, the advantage is more. Now, when you talk about the disadvantage, a contrasting transition word should come in. Simplest word to use is however. Yeah. Will you use moreover in this case or furthermore?
Furthermore.
When do you use furthermore?
Yeah, because uh, it's like I am telling advan no.
Hmm?
If I'm giving another advantage as an example, then I'll use
Then
furthermore. But
furthermore.
for
So
a
furthermore,
disadvantage,
furthermore would be when you are adding a point plus
yeah,
this. Yeah. When you are coming up with a contrast, you would use however
okay.
or but. Yeah. These are contrasting words.
Hmm.
Or you can say on the flip side. Yeah. Instead
Yeah.
of however. And if you have not stated your opinion in the beginning, you can come up with a conclusion with your opinion.
Opinion.
So overall, though, I guess it's better too, right? So say, so you can begin with, I think it is beneficial to whatever, but there can also be some disadvantages. This is your introduction. First, you explain. However, I believe that there are disadvantages as well, right? And then you explain the disadvantage. So when you have advantages and disadvantages, you will be, you have to talk about both sides. So first point will be about what advantage, second point will be about disadvantage. Or if you think that you want to begin with your opinion, then state your opinion, explain it, say whatever you are supporting, then go on to the other side. So suppose you are more into the disadvantage of it. So you will begin with the disadvantage and then go on to, however, there are some advantages also. Yeah, clear?
Yes.
So if you have this one, many students are asked to evaluate their professors at the end of the semester. What are the advantages and disadvantages of this? Yeah. So you can begin with the two sides, and then at the end you can say, however, according to me, or you can begin with, I believe that. So this one begins with, I believe that it is beneficial. So it is easier to begin with something that you are supporting, explain that first, then go on to the other side with a however,
Hmm.
and finish up. So
Yeah.
you don't have to think that, okay, my time should not be over and I haven't stated my opinion. Begin with your opinion, then go on to expanding the points. So if you don't have enough time, at least you can cut short on expanding your points. Yeah. So you begin with, I believe that it is beneficial to evaluate the professors in this case. So the student thinks it is, uh, so instead of advantages, beneficial. Yeah. So
Hmm.
the words that you use instead of the given words is important. So first, since superior staff can sit, etc. So this was the reason given. However, I believe that there are disadvantages as well. And then you go on to give the disadvantage. Yeah. So explanation, example, or extended explanation. So point plus example or explanation, right? For both of them. And if you have time, you can just wrap it up with, so I believe that. So you've given your two explanations and then so I believe. But if you can't give a conclusion, it doesn't matter. So overall, if you have talking about a template, personally, I believe dash is better than that. When you're given two options or three options, preference or advantage, in my opinion, dash seems to be better. Then you explain, first off, Or then, for example, now instead of example, you can use instance. So this is a template that you can remember and use. Yeah. So you can say personally, I believe it becomes a little too dragged out. In my opinion, simple, straightforward. Right. And then first off or firstly, for example, and then secondly or furthermore, for example. Now, if you have used, for example, in your first point, then go on to using for instance in your second point. Bring about variation in your sentences. Yeah. So this is an overall template. So transitions, then reason, example. If you think that you have a third point and you have time, then you go on to a third point. Otherwise, 2 points are more than enough. Got it? So you can nail this one.
But I'll have to, I guess, practice because in the
Yeah, you
beginning
have to practice.
I was
Just
stuttering a
to tell you what you can do, but you have to apply these in your practice. Yeah. So, like in your comparison, when your preference questions are coming, this is easier, better, stronger, comparative words, more convenient. Yeah.
yeah.
So, basically, in a preference question, you talk about your what you prefer, 1 point for it, and you can go into the problem with the other option. Yeah, this is what you can do. Yeah, and as with all the templates, you can use I, no problem in using I. I think, I believe, I prefer, yeah, according to me,
Hmm. According.
yeah. And then when you are wrapping up as a result, consequently, you are explaining, consequently, then moreover. So you can do these independent task questions. So what you will do is pick up an independent task question, time yourself, set the timer for 45 seconds, 15 seconds to prepare, and all these directions will be given. Yeah.
Hmm.
So now you know that the directions are going to be read out in the exam. Yeah. They read out to you. They tell you, you will now be asked your opinion about a familiar topic. Give yourself 15 seconds to prepare. So this is a time when you are composing yourself. You're organizing yourself, thinking about the template that you know, how you are going to use it, and putting down in your paper. What do you put down in your paper? Even before the question comes up, point one, point two, example one, example two. So you know your words fit in over here, right? So even before the question comes up, you are ready to think about it.
Yes.
Yeah. So you can do these. Lots of questions are here. If you go through your uh, study material also, there are about more than 100 questions given. On each type, there will be about, say, between 25 to 30 questions on each type. So there are enough. Now, one thing you have to do when you practice, number one, independent question when you are choosing, don't choose a question. Randomly pick a question because you don't have a choice in your exam.
Exam. Yeah, exactly.
Whatever comes, you have to answer.
Hmm.
Yeah. So don't go through the questions and start thinking which one should I answer. Blindly put your finger on a question, answer it. Right?
Yeah.
So you will be, first timer will be 15 seconds where you know that only this much time I get to prepare or plan my answer. And 45 seconds to answer. So you use your mobile, record yourself. Hmm? At the end, you see how many seconds did you speak, and you send me your recording. Right? Okay. So this is done with your independent task, the different types of independent tasks, and how to deal with them. Yeah. Okay. Now we can move on to the um, integrated speaking. Okay, the listening task, I will share the tracks. You can do it on your own. We will just. Now, what is task 2 when it comes to integrated speaking? Any idea? Remember what is task 2? Okay, now in the speaking task, one thing you have to be very sure, you should know which task is coming after each one of them. So while the instructions are being given to you, you can prepare yourself for the task. Yeah. So task 1 you always know is independent speaking. Task 2 is always the campus situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Task 2 is a campus situation. Task 3 is, so task 2 campus situation is what? A notice, flyer, short passage of a notice or flyer, and a conversation between two students related to that and the opinion of one of the students. Yeah. Task 3 will always be, task 3 is also read, listen, speak. Sorry. Task 3 is again read, listen, speak. What does it say? You listen to a short passage. What is the passage about? Do you remember? Not really, right? It's okay. So academic task 3, which is read, listen, speak. You will get a short passage, which will be about a concept. It will give you two parts of the concept. Yeah. And
Okay.
lecture explaining the concept with the help of examples. Right?
Uh,
Task 4, you just listen and speak, there's nothing to read. Task 4 is about an academic lecture, a long lecture about, say, 2 to 3 minutes of lecture will be there, usually 2 minutes or 2.5 minutes. And then you get 60 seconds to speak. And here you get just about 20 seconds to prepare. In the read, listen, speak, that is task 2 and 3, you get 30 seconds to do.
Okay.
Right? So you know what the responses are scored on, the general
Yeah.
description, the delivery, fluid speech, grammar, your vocabulary, and topic development. That is, you have all the important information from both the passage and the lecture. And the passage and lecture, none of them will appear again. So you have to take notes from both of them, right?
Yes.
So this, you have to, it should be well developed, free of errors. So if you want a score of 4, it should be free of errors, complete, intelligible, coherent, clear and fluid. Yeah.
Hmm.
And yeah, the syntax should be correct, accurate vocabulary should be there, and clear expression. You should not be confused of what the points were. If you so that's where your notes is very important. If you haven't taken your notes properly, you can be confused. Yeah. And yes, you have to answer in complete sentences, not just points. So this you don't need really the scoring. Okay, this I already told you. Integrated task 2 is a campus situation. You have a listening conversation, and your question is to summarize the speaker's opinion within the context of the reading passage.
Hmm.
So there could be an announcement. Say now, even before the question comes up, the audio will be giving you what it is about. Now listen to a conversation about what, right?
Hmm.
Sorry. Can you see the screen? Is it shared?
Yeah.
The announcement of a new parking rules, a letter to discuss dormitory regulations, etc. Yeah. Okay. Another thing that you have to remember, like you've done TOEFL earlier also, when you are practicing, practice with noise around you.
Practice with.
Noise around you.
Okay.
So not in complete silence. Maybe your roommates are talking, playing some music, something is going on. You have to be able to focus while the other people in the examination center are doing, say you are doing writing and the other person is doing speaking. That can happen, right?
No, but I'm giving the home edition online.
You're giving the home edition.
Yeah.
Do they still have the home edition?
Yes, yes, they have it.
Okay, fine. So okay, in the home edition, you have to be careful about a lot of things.
Yeah.
I hope,
I'll be home for that, the exam.
okay. Fine.
Yeah.
So you have to go. Earlier, what did you take? You took the
Home
home.
edition only.
With home edition, I found lots of students face a problem. I always tell them to take it at the center.
Okay. No, but for me it was fine actually. Honestly, the internet was also working well. It was, I think I remember, one thing I was not prepared was for the person on the other end. They asked me to show the entire room. I was honestly not prepared for that.
You have to show the
And
entire room. You have to show your desk, everything,
yeah, yeah, that happened.
and
So,
nobody should be coming into the room while you are doing your
yeah,
test.
and you need to have the door behind you when you're giving the
Door
exam.
behind you. So
I was
everything
just,
should be visible.
hmm. And I was also given an instruction that your sheet of paper should be inside a folder, like a transparent
Well,
folder.
yeah. Yeah, so they give you a little time beforehand. They check everything.
Yeah, they
So
only install that app on the
yeah,
computer
yeah.
and they take like 15 minutes for that and then only the paper starts.
Hmm, yeah. So you belong to Bombay as such, or where
Uh,
are you? Where's your home?
uh, I'm from Gurgaon.
Okay, you're from Gurgaon.
Yeah,
I think so. Okay.
my dad is a South Indian.
Okay. So your dad is working in Gurgaon.
No, my dad is working currently in Dubai.
Okay, currently in Dubai.
Yeah.
And
And
he's moving to Netherlands or something?
no, actually, my parents are moving to Dubai as well. And even including my brother. So for masters, I'll be going to Netherlands.
Okay, so now here you get 30 seconds to prepare.
Yeah.
And your speaking time is 60 seconds.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, and you know that the reading passage will also disappear.
Yes.
You can't see the reading passage and you can't listen to the clip a second time. So taking down notes is very crucial for both the reading passage and the audio clip.
Yeah.
In all these. Yeah. Only place where the reading passage will appear again is in your writing, integrated writing task.
Hmm.
Speaking task, nothing is available once it is once it disappears. So your note taking strategies you have to brush up on.
Yeah.
So a little practice on that will be required. So your focus on the keywords again,
Hmm.
as we did for the reading or listening. Again, your keywords, main ideas. So you take your symbols, etc. And so when you're talking about this is now we come to the task one, the speaker's opinion on the campus situation. Yeah. So your notes, now when you're talking about the task one and task two, you are reading something.
Yeah. I am what?
You read something and then you listen,
Yes.
right? So you can take your notes in column format.
Hmm.
Now from the reading, what do you get? Say we are talking about task number two,
Yes.
the
I
conversation.
I think from reading we can talk about the entire theme of the conversation so that we are in sync.
Specifically what it is about. Yeah. So the topic. So the topic comes up, and from the listening, so in the topic, there will be reason number one given. Yeah. And reason number two given. And the response from the conversation will be response to reason number one, response to reason number two.
Yeah.
Right. So if you have your notes clearly, you can look at your notes while you are speaking.
Hmm.
Hmm? So the attitude, etc., all these you know. And yes, you have to just remember that your own opinion is not required. So
Yeah.
you don't give your own opinion. You just answer on the basis of what the passage has told you and what the speakers are saying. So opinion of the speaker is important. Your opinion should not be there.
Hmm.
Now, if we look at a template for task two, how to answer. So you have to first talk about what the passage is saying, the passage, or if it's an announcement or the flyer, or according to the passage, the university plans to do this. Usually it is regarding the university or the dean plans to, or the department plans to. Yeah. Or you can say that's the easiest thing to do, according to the passage dash dash dash. Yeah. Or the school intends to, or the principal intends to, if it is something very specific. Next, what comes up? Now, when you're
So,
talking about what the university plans to, you can give the 2 points or the two reasons, but from the passage, whatever you pick up from the passage, the content should be very short, because your focus is on the conversation and the opinion of the student. So
Yeah.
whatever comes from the passage should be brief, right? And then you go on to the opinion of the student, the reasons given by the student, and the reasons corresponding to the first point, reasons corresponding to the second point from the passage. Yeah. So the student agrees or disagrees with the school's decision or changes or opinion for 2 or 3 reasons, whatever the student may have given you. The student supports or opposes these changes. You can say that also. Whatever whatever comes up. And then the why the student says so. That is important. Yeah. So your evidence will come from the conversation. So firstly, the student believes that, or the first point the student makes that. Yeah. Or firstly, the student says that. So you first thing is your points from the passage. Second, student's opinion, agrees or disagrees. And then first point, explain. Second point, explain. Yeah. Or you can say one reason is that, according to the student, if you can't figure anything else, at least you can begin with according to the student. Yeah. So according to the student, the decision that the university has taken, or according to the student, there's a response to the first point. So whatever the first point is, explain in the student's words. And yes, always keep to the present tense. Don't go into the past tense for the response.
Okay.
This is important. The student says that the university has announced that. But when it comes to the student, this is the opinion. The student says that, or student feels that. And then second point, explain. So secondly, the student believes that, and then you go on to give the reason why the student says so. And if you have a third point, then you can go on to thirdly or additionally.
Hmm.
Or you can say and finally, right?
Yeah.
So your format will be, okay, another thing, don't use the term student all the time. From the conversation, you can make out whether it's a male student or female student whose
Yeah.
opinion matters. So use he or she.
Hmm.
Yeah. And the terminology that is used in the passage should be correct. So if the passage says the dean has announced, in your response also it should be the dean according to the dean. Yeah. Or in the passage, according to the passage, the dean has announced that. Or you don't even have to say according to the passage always. But yes, whatever the student says, it should be clearly stated and it should be expanded with it. Right? And yeah. Now, once I said that you should not give your own opinion and you should also not give any extra information. So, own examples or reasons, not required.
Hmm.
Yeah. Never ever give your own examples or reasons, even if you're falling short of or you didn't take your notes properly. Okay. So, coming to the general template now, according to the announcement, article, or letter, that's how you begin. And this is because, so the reasons from the reading passage. So the first reason from the reading passage, and then you go on to the second reason from the reading passage. So there are two reasons, and then you move on to the conversation. There are two reasons why the man supports or opposes this change, or you can say the student supports or opposes this change for two reasons. Hmm? Or suppose the student supports one of the reasons given by the in the announcement and doesn't support the second one. So you can talk about mixed opinion, right?
Mm.
I hope you are able to recall what you did earlier.
Yeah.
Hmm? Then you talk about the first reason. First of all, he argues that or she argues that. Hmm? So the first of all, or the first reason given, and then the second or second point, moreover, he mentions that or she mentions that. And here also, conclusion is not required. You don't have to go into a conclusion. Introduction is important. Introduction should be strong, clear. You don't really need a conclusion to wrap up unless you still have a lot of time left. You can do that. Yeah.
Yes.
So, what is your focus on this?
I think to
Focus is, number one, focus is on the conversation and the most important information. Right now, if there are lots of information given to you, then just pick up the main points. You don't have to give all the points that are given by the student, right? If you're confused, what do I give, what do I leave out? Just pick up the main points. So this is a format that I have created. You can use this. Say when you're taking the notes, even before, while the announcements are, while the instructions are being given, you just make your columns, right? You go on to do your columns. So in your column, you just come up with your column. Sorry, my pen is acting weird today. So from the passage, you have the topic, point one, yeah, the point one, reason one, point two, reason two. Now from the conversation, you have two students. The main student would be student X. The second student would be asking some questions. You can take it down. So first thing is whether the student is agreeing or disagreeing. So you can write agree, disagree, and just tick on what the student, what comes up. And then corresponding to point one, opinion, reason, corresponding to point two, opinion, reason. Now you can just look at your notes and answer, right? Should we move on? So you can take this format down. So it will be handy when you are answering.
yes.
Yeah. So if you are organized with taking down notes, half your work is done. Then second step is your template. You're organizing notes, your template, all you have to do is fill in the blanks in your template. Hmm?
Mm.
So just tell me if you can hear the track. Did you hear the track?
I didn't.
You did, okay. I think the sound is not shared. Okay,
Or if you could share me the links, I could do it on my own.
I haven't shared sound, I think, when I shared. So I'll just share sound and then we can. Now you'll tell me whether you can listen to the song.
I cannot.
Just a moment. Just a second. I'll share it. Mm,
City University plans to begin playing music over
Okay, can you hear the track now? Yeah? Did you hear the track?
Yes, yes.
City University plans to begin playing music over loudspeakers in the campus cafeterias. You will have 50 seconds to read an article from the campus newspaper about the plan. Begin reading now.
So this is the first announcement, the first instruction given to you. So while this instruction is being given to you, what do? Prepare your notes taking format. Yeah? If you're prepared with your notes taking format, you are saving on time and it becomes easier for you.
City University.
So this is your passage. You have to read the passage, take your notes. So you can read it, take down your main points from here. Sorry. You got your notes down?
Yes.
So what did you write? Just read out exactly what you've written, nothing more than that.
Okay. So first I wrote Mary Dixon, Director of Student Life Committee. And then P1, relaxed atmosphere. R1, hectic, break and catch up. P2, personal music device. And then R2, talk to each
Right. So you got your points from here. You don't need more than that.
other. No.
So let's look at.
Now listen to two students discussing the university's plan.
Did you read this article? Are they serious?
Yeah, I think so. Why?
Well, first of all, a lot of kids aren't looking for a relaxing break at lunchtime. They like to study while they eat, especially if they have exams coming up or some assignment they have to get done.
Yeah, that's true.
And now they won't be able to concentrate. This is going to be very distracting.
Okay. Yeah, I see your point.
And second, most students don't like classical music.
It's certainly not what I listen to.
So are people going to stop listening to their own music?
No.
I think people are going to be even more likely to bring their MP3 player, to play their own music and block out the classical stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The man expresses his opinion of the university's plan. State his opinion and explain the reasons he gives for holding that opinion.
Okay. So you got your points down?
Yeah.
So what did you write in the points?
Study while they eat assignments. Second, distracting. Third, no one likes classical music. Third, more MP3.
So now you can respond.
Yeah.
So this is your question. The man expresses his opinion of the university's plan, state his opinion, and explain the reasons he gives for holding that opinion. So you get your 30 seconds to prepare. So in that 30 seconds, what do you do? Think of your template, arrange your points. Yeah, you can mark your points on your rough paper. Now you can do whatever you need to do.
I did not really note down the template. So,
Okay, so now in this, what was the template? How do you begin? Okay, let's see. Do we have a template here? Do you want me to go back to the template?
yeah, just yeah. Can I start?
Yes.
Yeah. So according to the announcement made by the university, the director of the Student Life Committee, Mary Dixon, plans to introduce playing of classical music in cafeterias. Now, as as per the opinions, the student disagrees with the school's decision for mainly two reasons. First, not everyone goes to cafeterias and during lunch to relax essentially, and they want to study while they eat and complete their assignments. And hence, he even says that this might prove to be distracting for the students. The second reason that he gives is that no one really likes classical music at this age and stage, and hence the usage of more MP3 devices, the use of MP3 device will increase over time, contrary to what the university has already proposed, that the students might want to talk to each other. So, in conclusion, the speaker challenges the university's idea of playing classical music in the cafeteria.
Your answer was good. Only little problem with your conclusion.
Okay.
You said the student challenges.
Yeah.
Would you use challenges?
Um.
I think challenges would become a bit too strong. So avoid those type of words,
Okay.
right?
Opposes these changes.
Opposes or doesn't disagree with. And overall, like I said earlier also, do you really need to give a conclusion?
Not really.
Not
But then
really.
I feel like I didn't say much on the second point, so
No, that's okay. Anyway, your time was up.
okay. I didn't really.
So you didn't really need a conclusion. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think you're doing good. You have to practice. I will share that. In fact, what I'll do is the all of them should be here. Yeah, the other ones are also there. Okay, now here's just one more thing that you have to take note of. So here's a checklist of to see whether your task is like good enough or not. Yeah. So first is, did you speak for 60 seconds or at least 50 seconds? So it shouldn't be that your timer is showing you have 10 seconds left, right? You have to be able to expand enough. Now your introduction, managing time is also important. Introduction should be 15 seconds. Yeah, not beyond. So if 15 seconds is the introduction, how much time are you left with? 45?
45. Yeah.
So you divide that 45 into two parts.
20 seconds each.
Yeah. So after 15, when you come to say about 40 seconds or 45 seconds, you know that, okay, my first point should be ending. Yeah. And then your second point, you'll have enough time for your second point. So you divide your time into three parts. This is my introduction. 15 seconds, your introduction should be over. If your introduction extends to 20 seconds, means you are speaking too much, which is not required. Right? Your focus is on what the student is saying. So when the student is saying when you're talking about the student's opinion, you are mentioning the point raised by the in the passage as such. So obviously, when you are talking about the point raised in the passage, it will come up again. So you don't need to mention all the details in the passage in the introduction. Introduction is just about what it is and very briefly why the university says this, the 2 points raised by the university. Right? Or if it is 1 point elaborated, you give a very brief explanation on that. And your main focus is on point number 1, point number 2. Template will be important. Yeah.
Okay.
So then you see whether you had enough time. Now, if you want to include a conclusion, you should be having about at least 5 seconds left. Right? For a conclusion. Otherwise, now whatever goes beyond the 60 seconds is not recorded, that you know. Yeah. So anything beyond 60 seconds, if it is not recorded, there's no use saying whatever you want. Sorry. Then, yeah, you have to keep a track on the monitor that your timer is going and how much time is left. Now, true transition words, this is important. True transition words or phrases should be there. right? And smooth speaking, I think you are speaking more or less smooth. If you use your template, then you will not, you will be confident enough. Yeah. So you don't have to think, how should I begin? So that problem will be solved with a template. So you write a template, look at your template. First, practice, look at your template and do it. Second practice, just remember your template and answer. Okay? I think that should be enough for you. And natural conversation, that is what they are asking for. And essential information. That is most important. If you miss out on essential information, then there is trouble. Okay? So now there's this second task here you can do. I think all the tasks from the book are here. So I'll share the PPT and you can do it. Yeah. Are you comfortable with task number 3?
Yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll just take a few of the a couple of, you prepare your task number 3. So I'll take a few responses tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay.
Then can just wrap up with task number 4 and go on to writing.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I think we should be wrapping up for today. So was this, does this give you confidence enough that you can answer these questions and get to above 25?
Yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah.
So you can get a 4 in speaking also.
Hmm.
Yeah. All you have to do is you have to answer you have to answer in an organized manner. Your points should be clear. Independent task especially is a little tricky because it's your own material. Yeah. So when you are giving your own matter, you may falter here and there. But in the integrated task, you have to make sure that you take your notes properly. That makes it easy. So 50% of the task is done if your notes are in place. Okay.
Hmm.
So you will practice a little. So how much time can you devote to practice?
Hmm.
Hmm? How much time can you devote to practice?
An hour max because I'm like regular classes right now. But
That's
on
okay.
weekends I can do
And if you see for the speaking, independent speaking task, how much time does it take to do a task?
max. Maximum like 5 minutes for one task.
5
And
minutes?
then yeah, actually less than that.
You have 30 seconds, 15 seconds to prepare, 45 seconds to speak. That makes up
Yeah.
just 1 minute.
Hmm.
Right? So you can have a few of the, or maybe you can have a few topics on your mobile. Even when walking around, you can practice. People
Hmm.
may think weird that you are speaking, but that's okay.
Hmm.
Yeah. So 2 tasks, or say about at least in 5 minutes, you can do 3 tasks of
Hmm.
the. Hmm? You can manage that, and
Yeah.
in the integrated ones, maximum. So integrated ones, listening to reading, listening plus responding. Total will be about 3 to 4 minutes, not more than that. Yeah. So in about, even if you take out 15 minutes, you can do 2 to 3 tasks. Okay. So even if you don't get 1 hour, 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there, 15 minutes in the morning, about 5-10 minutes before going to bed,
Yeah.
you can manage. Yeah.
I'll do that.
So see you tomorrow. So tomorrow I don't think you will need further explanation for task 3. If you or if you have some doubt, then we will clear. So mainly we will focus on how you are responding, whether your template is okay or not. I will share this with you. You can go through your templates. Task 3 is there. Task 4, I think, is also there. Yeah, task 4 is also there. Yeah. So today you focus on task 1 and 2, practice, and it should be perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can practice, you can send me, even if it is not perfect, you can send it to me.
Yeah, works.
Yeah. So I'll attach this on WhatsApp first thing, otherwise I'll forget after that. Okay then.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.